let's talk about apostrophes. Now, let me just say, apostrophes are nowhere near the most important thing on the test. If I had to choose one thing that's like the most important on the test, I would probably say subject-verb agreement, which we've already talked about. But let's take a look at apostrophes here. Apostrophes are used in two different contexts, to indicate possession or to contract. So we're going to go over these one by one. Let's start with possession because this tends to be the most confusing one. If I'm talking about a boat that belongs to John, I would say, well, that's John's boat. John's boat. And you say, well, yeah, that's how you indicate possession. The boat belongs to John. You say it's John's boat. But how about Moses's boat? How would you write that? That's where it gets a little tricky. So to help you with this, I have a diagram that I'm going to draw out. It looks a little scary, but I promise it's a definitive way to decide how to put an apostrophe into possession. So it's a little bit of a flow chart here. We're going to start with the first decision. Are we talking about a singular noun or a plural noun? Well, John is a singular person. There's only one John, right? John is singular. So if it's a singular noun that does not end in an S, I'll say no S, well then, you just put an apostrophe S. So you say John's boat. John apostrophe S's boat. But what happens if it's a singular noun that does end with an S? I'll use Moses again, right? If I'm talking about Moses's boat, here's what I'm going to do. You ready? Moses apostrophe S. I add an apostrophe S even though there's already an S on the end. Now, before you get too animated here, I realize that in some books and some publications, they just throw an apostrophe on there. But for the purpose of the SAT, this is the rule, right? You have to just add an apostrophe S even though there's already an S. Okay, let's explore the plural case. Now I'm talking about multiple people or things possessing something. So we'll talk about the easiest case, which is no S, and try to come up with plural nouns that do not end with S. How about people, right? Or men, women, children, right? All of those do not end with S, but they are plural. So we'll say people's. You would say it's like the people's choice. Again, you just add an apostrophe S. The case that's very interesting is when it's plural and does end in an S, like most plural nouns do. Let's say I'm talking about like a group of kids, right? And I say the kid's mother, so the mother of these kids. I would then put KIDS apostrophe because I'm talking about multiple kids and I'm talking about their mother. It's just an apostrophe, no extra S. I realize it's a little convoluted, but there are really only 4 cases. And to simplify this, we could boil it down this way. The way to possessivize anything is just to add an apostrophe S with this exception. When you have a plural noun that ends in an S and you want to make it possessive, that's where you just add the apostrophe no S. So review this chart as much as you need. Okay, let's move on to our second case, contractions. Contractions contract, they make something shorter. So the most common example of this is isn't, is not, or don't, do not, or doesn't, or aren't, are not. Right, I'll just add that one in, aren't. And literally what that's doing is replacing a letter, right? It's the O, is not, does not, are not. The one sort of weird case is it's. And if anyone comes or has been to the San Francisco Bay Area where I'm from, there's a very famous ice cream brand from there called It's It. And on Highway 101, there's a big poster for It's It. It's very tasty if you can get your hands on one. Anyway, so let's talk about It's It. It's. All these kind of confusing ones. ITS is possessive, right? It's going back to what we were talking about here, even though there's no apostrophe. ITS is possessive. It's describing something that belongs to an inanimate object. So, for instance, I could say the class's choice. The class is an object, right? You would say its choice, or its its decision, or whatever, right? I'm talking about an inanimate object here. IT apostrophe S is a contraction. It's shortening it is. And frankly, I mean, I've used the word IT apostrophe S in my life, I don't know how many times. And because I'm so, detailed and want to get this right, in my head, every time I say it's, I kind of hear it is. And even if you're, I don't know, like an oral learner, as in you like AURAL learner, you hear that kind of skip. It is. But ITS is possessive, so it kind of goes with these ones down here. Those are the rules for apostrophes. Let's get some practice under our belt. Pause the video and give these two questions a shot. All right. The visual appearance of, I'm just going to say DM, commonly known as the Venus flytrap, is enough to cause nightmares to the humans who encounter it in the wild. Fortunately, the plant restricts blank diet to insects. If we look at these answer options, first we have to decide between its and their. Well, that decision isn't too difficult because we're talking about one thing, the Venus flytrap. We're not talking about multiple flytraps. And then we emphasize that again down here, the plant. There's only one plant that we're talking about, the Venus flytrap. So we're dealing with its because there is plural, right? So that's out. Okay, then the question is, do we do IT apostrophe S or ITS? And remember, this is the weird one. IT apostrophe S is a contraction. It is. And its is possessive. So are we saying, fortunately, the plant restricts it is diet to insects? We're not saying that. The correct answer is its, ITS, possessive, because it's the diet of the plant. Okay, on to the next question here. Spanish architect Antoni Gaudí, designer of the Sagrada Familia Church in Barcelona, is known for the arresting visual style of his buildings. However, the blank were not purely aesthetic. He often used complex geometric formulas that others would never have considered. So we have 4 answer options, which all sound the same. Like if you read all of these out, they would all sound like builders' innovations, builders' innovations, builders' innovations, builders' innovations. This is the type of question that tends to stump people. They're like, where does the apostrophe belong? So let's take it one word at a time. Let's start with this first word. Are we talking about one builder or multiple builders? How many builders are there? Well, there's only one builder, and that's Antoni Gaudí, right? So builders apostrophe, go back to that chart, refers to multiple builders. That's not the correct answer. Builders apostrophe, not the correct answer. Okay, so it's either C or D, right? It's one builder, and we're talking about the innovation or innovations of that builder. Okay, now we have to decide between innovations or innovations apostrophe. Well, do the innovations possess anything? No, they don't, right? The innovations belong to the builder, but it's not like the builder's innovations, output or something like that. However, the builder's innovations, the innovations that belonged to the builder, right? We're not talking about something possessive. So D is out. Correct answer here is one builder and his innovations, plural.